that I did not, and I'm trying to get all of my stuff set up. I did not have this planned ahead of time. I actually had an interview / chat this morning. Let's see if I can get this set up. Whoop. There we go. Okay. Let me get everything ready. All right. Hey, Ellen. I was just saying that I'm sorry I didn't have this planned ahead of time. I usually schedule these so that I don't, so that people can, come on, that's too low. Ooh, the struggle is real this morning. There we go. Hello. Okay, now I got to get this pulled up on here. How are you doing this morning, Ellen? I see someone else joined too. Yeah, so I forgot to schedule. I usually schedule the night before, and I just totally forgot. And then this morning, I have started back up my interviews for Pink Sheep and Friends Live. So this year I really wanted to do more of the chat style interviews with other designers and other makers. And I've started up those interviews again, and I had one this morning, and I probably should have known that scheduling an interview like the hour before I went live might not have been the best idea. But you know, it is what it is. And I try to schedule at least one or two. I do a Zoom call before I have a live interview. So if you guys have seen, I have a whole playlist now on YouTube that's like I call them maker chats. Actually, I think the playlist is now Pink Sheep and Friends. So there's a playlist that's called Pink Sheep and Friends, and it's other makers and other designers that I talk to, and I talk about their journey and talk about their brand and how they got started and how they went from, making things to selling patterns, or, learning to crochet to selling finished products, and just a little bit more about their business. And so Tzines. So if you guys are on Instagram, it's TZIGNS, Tzines, and her name is Tessa. And she is a designer that I've been following for quite some time. And we had our Zoom chat this morning, which is like my precursor to the live. So I like to get to know people on Zoom so that we're more comfortable. We've had a chance to really talk and get to know each other a little more personally. And then we do the live on Instagram. And I think we are going to go live together on Instagram towards the end of March. So I'm excited. So hello, everybody. Let me get this pulled up so I can see the chat. But yeah, so sorry I didn't pre-schedule this. I know that made it a little more difficult for people to catch me on here live if you're subscribed to my channel. Okay. Oop. All right, let me pop the chat out. Okay, here we go. Now I can see the chat. All right, so we've got Jody here. This is a first for Jody. Well, hello, and I see Belia Garcia says good morning. Samantha Stewart is with us. Jody says so many are going live right now. And it's so funny because I didn't think that this was like a popular time to go live. I guess it is. Whoops. But this works for me. So this will probably continue to be my live. I don't see myself moving this around. But I do, I leave my lives up. So if you have someone else that you want to watch right now live, you can always watch my replay if you want to. Let's see. Okay, so Jessica Martin asked what's on the agenda today. So I have a finished product, a finished object that I want to show you guys that I finally finished. And I want to talk about inspiration. So I really wanted to talk about where I pull inspiration from and where you guys pull inspiration from when you're designing things, creating things, from the color to the design type to if you like to wing it with your patterns. I would love to talk a little bit about that. So that's my goal for today. And I do have a project that I'm working on, just a little spacey this morning, getting off of my Zoom call and trying to get all this set up, that I don't have any of my stuff right here with me except my coffee, and it's pretty much empty. But that's okay. And Roberta is here. Roberta says she finally gets to catch me live. Hello, Roberta. How are you? Roberta makes some really, really cool color combos for some of my patterns. I always love getting to see what she comes up with color combinations for a lot of my chunky garments. And Roberta, are you making a Winky jacket? So this one here, I can't remember if you said you were making one, because I'm super excited if you are to see what you come up with for that. Let's see. Dawn says hello there. Jessica is missing our crochet along. Well, we're definitely going to do another one. I think I said I was going to start it this week, but I'll have to start it next week. I feel like I have to make sure I know what I'm going to do. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do the Winky jacket, because I had said that before. So I think some people have already bought the materials that they need. But I really do want to do a crochet along for this jacket, the Winky jacket. Oh, and I finished another one of those. So my grandmother-in-law, her birthday is today. I think it's today, but we're celebrating tomorrow. So I made her a Winky jacket, and so I can show you guys that today too. Let's see. Emma says, hello, Pinkies. Ellen says hello to anyone I missed. Roberta's going to be making 2. I have to finish a very neutral baby blanket first. Well, that's understandable. So Jody asked what kind of yarn. So this is my Winky jacket using Bernat blanket yarn. So let me run and get the other one that I finished. You guys can come with me. That's fine. I can just lift this up and you can go with me. So let's go in here. It's a little darker in here. I've got finished objects on the bed. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, I was talking about how I have lots of rooms in my house that give me away as a crocheter. And it's almost every single room in the house has something in it that says that I crochet. Okay. And if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, I would love to know for you, how many rooms in your house would give you away as a crocheter? Because for me, it's almost every single one, because obviously my office is full of yarn. My living room almost always has yarn or a project on the couch, since I like to work on them on the couch. The kitchen bar, I like to leave my notions. So we don't have a really good place in the living room right now to keep things like tapestry needles and scissors, because the cat will knock them off the table. So I put them on the kitchen bar. So the kitchen has stuff in there. The only room I think in this house that doesn't have crochet stuff in it is in the dining room. So I don't think there's anything in the dining room that has crochet stuff, unless like a cardigan's hanging on a chair, because that goes outside. And then the bathroom has a little crocheted basket in there to hold, stuff. And my bedroom obviously has like finished objects that I wear. And there's also a little crocheted basket that holds like essential oils and stuff in the bedroom. So it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. Okay, so this is the Winky jacket that I made for my grandmother-in-law. So this is the same color as this here, but she loves greens and blues. So I chose this as the contrasting color. Ellen says I need to fix the dining room problem. I know. I need to figure out what to put in there. But I love this contrasting color here. I was actually looking for a different color, but this is all they had. But I think it looks really nice. And I'll show you guys. It's the same size as the one I made myself, because she got to try it on. But I have a few things. I'm going to show you this one, and then I'm going to show you the other one that I'm making. And then you see the cat in the chair. Okay, so this is the one that I finished for my grandmother. So it's got its nice little pockets, and I did the border in the same color. But I love it. I actually like it. I almost like it more than the one with the black and white. I did make the border a little bit wider. But I love it. I'm really happy with it. I hope she loves it too. Oh, Jody says at least get a hook laying on the table in the dining room. I need to do like, you know how people have floral arrangements or like the fake lemons in a vase in the middle of the table? I should have like a vase full of crochet hooks. And that can be the centerpiece on the table. Yes, so this is my first finished piece. I had to get it finished by, you know, her birthday party kind of thing that we're having. We're just having a lunch with her. But I also finished a personal project. So I made it my goal this year to make a couple of personal projects for myself where I sit down and create something that is either made from someone else's pattern, or that I still like wing it and make something that I want to make, but I'm not turning it into a design. So the one that I'm going to show you guys, it was a yarn that I splurged on. Let me see if I have any left to show you. Oh yeah. So I bought 6 skeins of this hand-dyed yarn. This is all that's left. So this is one color. There were 3 different colors. I showed it off quite a few videos ago because I got it last year. And this is just all that's left of the one color because I used up all of the other 2 colors. And this is all that's left. So my goal was to try to use all of it because I splurged and bought enough to try to make a cardigan, because that's usually how much yarn I buy. I want to be able to make a full-on wearable with the amount of yarn that I have. This is 100% wool. It's a little scratchy, a little itchy, not scratchy, but I have never tried to soften wool, so I may look into it, like seeing if I can soak it in, you know, I don't know how to do that. I need to look it up, but it's so pretty. So, okay, let me make sure. I'm going to show you guys this cardigan. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Jody has bags with work in progresses everywhere that's convenient to hang. The same. So I have in my closet in this office, I have at least 3 project bags that are hanging, and 2 of them are patterns by other people that I purchased because there's things that I wanted to learn new techniques this year. So I bought 3 different patterns already that are styles that I've never made. So like there's a top-down sweater because I've never made a top-down sweater, and there's a cardigan using slip stitch only as like the main stitch. And I do have that one. I can show you that too in progress. I haven't made much progress on it. Emma's not allowed any more yarn. Oh, well, I have so much yarn that I'm at a point where it's not going to fit anymore. So I've told myself that I don't need to buy any more, because I'm not going to be able to fit it in my little bins back here. Okay, so let me show you the finished cardigan, the one I just finished it like 2 days ago, so I'm super excited about it. So we'll put this one away. I'm gonna put it over here. I also made one of my slippers out of blanket yarn. So if you guys haven't checked out my simple slipper pattern, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. And I'm a big fan of how it turned out with the blanket yarn. It's really, really cozy. You use 2 strands. And I'm gonna make the second one as a YouTube tutorial. So I made the first one, and the second one I'm going to YouTube it so that I can have a instructional video on how to make these, because it's a small enough pattern where I feel comfortable, but these are super cute. And that is my simple slippers. It's the only slipper tutorial that I have, slipper pattern in my Etsy shop. Okay, so this is what we're working with. Okay, let me see if I can lift this up a little bit. Okay, Jody says, do not agitate it at all. I'm a spinner, so that yarn will felt. No soap or temperature changes or agitation. Okay, so what would I do if I wanted to wash it? Do you do like cold water, like cold water and just like soak it? I have no idea. I usually don't wash my stuff. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And the story about this one is actually pretty funny because if you look, there is ribbing right here. It's kind of hard to tell because this is the slub style yarn, so it's thick and thin. So it goes from like a size 6 to like a size, probably like a 3, because this is like super tiny right here, but this is like a 6. So there's ribbing right here. And I had stopped. I just wanted to add ribbing around the front, but it didn't close far enough. So you can see how these two pieces would not have come together very far. And I like my sweaters to wrap around. So I actually added 5 rows of single crochet on top of the ribbing. But it's kind of cool because it's got that like texture change, because you go from half double crochet to ribbing to single crochet. And I used a different color. So you can see this is one color, this is another color, and then this is the third color. So this color is what I used right here for that. And you can see that here too. So there's one color, the second color, and the third color. And this is the first cardigan where I added the ribbing after. So I actually did the technique where you join and you make a chain, then you work back down the chain and you slip stitch, and then you work back down the chain, come back down, slip stitch. And that's definitely another video tutorial that I want to have on my channel, because I think that I definitely want to do a pattern that has the ribbing added after, but since my patterns are supposed to be beginner friendly, I want to make sure that people know how to do that, you know, so I have to make a tutorial. Okay, so I've got the ribbing on the bottom, and this is the icing on the cake. So I sewed a big long piece of ribbing, and I attached it just with like a basting type stitch, and that way, so you can see it's flipping. Again, I don't ever block my work for the same reason, like I don't want to screw it up or anything, and I think I can just wear like a turtleneck under this, and then I won't have the irritation on my neck because I just have sensitive skin. So it's not a full-on wool allergy, but this will kind of get red, so I could wear like a mock style turtleneck under here so that it doesn't touch my skin as much. But then I can wrap this as far as I want it, and then I can wrap my tie. Now, if I hadn't attached this tie, I'd lose it. So definitely had to attach it. There we go. And let's see, this one went under and over. How did I do that last time? I think I did it this way. There we go. So I've got my nice little kimono style tie. Yay! But that's what it looks like. So that's my newest finished piece. I have not written the pattern for it because I think if I write this as a pattern, I'll probably make this ribbing this long and not have the extra piece here. I love it, but I think, I don't know, let me know what you guys think. Should I do the ribbing and then add this, or should I just make this all ribbing from here to here? So this piece would be longer. But I love the length of the sleeves. I love that the colors came together so nice. And this, I've been wanting to do something like this with a back tie. So that makes me really happy. There you go. Newest finished object. And then I am still working on my slip stitch sweater. So if you guys have not seen this, if you've seen me show progress on this slip stitch sweater, I haven't made it any further. So I've showed my progress. This is where I'm at. It's just a cute little cropped cardigan. I did one of the biggest no-nos that you can do when following a pattern, and I chose to use a different hook size and yarn size than the pattern asked for. But I really wanted to use this yarn for this pattern because I just thought it would be really nice. This is also 100% wool. It's Noro brand, Curion Air, I think is how you pronounce it. This is also a top down. I had never made a top down, and I have a pullover top down sweater too that I want to follow, but I'll show you guys this one. It fits really cropped. Make sure I haven't missed. Oh, I have missed. I've missed a bunch of stuff. Let's see. Marsh Knitting just ordered yarn. Let's
see. Wendy, thanks Jody for that information. Emma just bought yarn for the first time since November, really trying to work my stash. That's how I need to work. I need to, you see all that yarn back there, right? I need to use that for something. Hello, Pink Sheep. Hi, Nicole. Ellen says the product soak with cold water is my thought for your wool yarn. Okay, and I have been wanting to try the product soak. Like you can buy the little sample packs. So I think that's going to be on my list. Jody says room temperature, soak it, then lay it to dry. There are no rinse soaps for hand washing. Be so gentle. That is beautiful. Thank you. Little baby Spooky Bat says cute. Ellen says love it. Ellen, I have very little room to stash my yarn. My partner and kids are getting annoyed by my yarn boxes stacked in the hallway and living room, so they don't want me to get any more. Yeah, so my desk has boxes underneath it of finished stuff and like halfway finished projects that probably need to be frogged at this point. Wendy says very cute and the color is gorgeous. I like what you did. Thank you. And that's what I just thought it was cool with the texture. So, and I even on the shoulders, I went into the back 2 loops for these half double crochets, and then I went underneath all 3 of the loops for these. So like the ridges and then no ridges and then ridges. So I thought that was kind of cool. I just really wanted to play with texture, especially because the yarn is so textured that it was fun to get to add even more to the yarn. And Emma says that cardigan would be great a little longer as a bathrobe. That's exactly what my husband said. He said, it reminds me of the bathrobe. I was like, but it's a really cute bathrobe, you know? Proverbs 31 yarn. Thank you for sharing. I'm almost done and was not sure if putting buttons. Now I can put a tie. Exactly. So I have a cardigan that calls for buttons. But I really like, I have a trench coat, kind of like a pea coat that has the tie, and I've always loved having the tie right here. So I thought that would be a nice touch. Okay, I'll show you guys this one. I think my husband is on the roof. Sure sounds like he's on the roof. Okay, so this is where I'm at with this one. So super cropped. I don't think it was meant to be this cropped. But that was, again, my fault because I used a hook size and yarn size that were not called for. So it actually called for a size 6 yarn. I used a size 5, and I think I used a bigger hook size. I don't really know, but it's still super cute. I really like it. I'm glad I made it. And I just need to make the arms. The sleeves are like a short sleeve. They're like a 3/4, kind of like what I had on. But it's got the ribbing, and this ribbing is created with slip stitches. This whole piece is created with slip stitches. So it's a slip stitch cardigan. So super cool. But I still need to make the sleeves, and I've got my little stitch markers in place still. Oh, if you guys didn't see, we put out some new stitch markers for St. Patrick's Day. And I still have quite a few left, but this is what they look like. So it's the little shamrocks. And then you can see the opening at the bottom. So that's where you slip it over your stitch. But we just added those to the Etsy shop. So super excited. I really want to do a lot more. I want to do a lot more shapes for stitch markers this year. Like I definitely want to do like some suns and some like paw prints and stuff. I think those would be fun. Maybe some flower shapes. Okay, I have one more work in progress to show you guys. So I had a lot of requests to make my Power Puff jacket in a smaller weight yarn. So that is probably going to be my next pattern release. There we go. Okay, so this is my lighter weight Power Puff jacket. So I'm still using a Chanel yarn. If you guys have not seen my Power Puff jacket, it is this monstrosity right here. This one. So this is my Power Puff jacket, and it's got the hoodie pockets. But I've had people who ask me to make it because that's a super chunky Chanel yarn that calls for like a 25mm hook. So let's see, it's like this stuff. This size Chanel, so you've seen like blanket yarn, but it's like super chunky blanket yarn. And it still says, yeah, it's a size 7. So a size 7 yarn. And so I'm recreating the project in a size 6 Chanel. So it's going to be the same style of jacket because it's the same style of yarn. It's a Chanel style yarn. This is more of like a velvety Chanel than this kind. So it's a little bit more of a slippery yarn to work with. But I feel like you could use this. So this is another Chanel that's a size 6 Chanel and doesn't have the slipperiness of the velvety Chanel. So this would be perfect for this smaller weight Power Puff jacket. But I just started adding the sleeves. I'm using a different color for the sleeves than for the body. And then I'm using this accent yarn for the collar. So you can see the collar. And then I'm going to have the pockets in this yarn as well. And then the border is in the contrasting color. So I'm really excited about how this is turning out. I didn't want the border to be this wide, but I was not paying a lot of attention to how wide the panel was. But I think it's pretty nice. I'm interested to see what it looks like once I add the pockets, because the pockets will be like the patch pockets right here, and I'm going to do it in this color. So it'll be interesting to see how that looks. I may have to line these up and have the pocket come out and down from here so that that doesn't look off. But I think it still looks nice, and it's definitely the same essence as the big chunky Power Puff. It's got the same collar. It'll have the same sleeves with the cuff at the bottom, a lot like the Luna. So if you've done the Luna, very similar construction to the Power Puff. You work the back panel up and the front panels over, and then you add this front border row, but you have to add your collar before you add the border. And then you add your sleeves, same as the Luna. So, and the Jumbo Power Puff, I think this is going to be called the Mini Puff. So the Power Puff jacket, Mini Puff jacket, and the Power Puff I use single crochet. Mini Puff I'm using half double crochet, and then single crochet for the border. So that is my last work in progress that I've got happening right now. Let's see. And I can actually work on this a little bit while I'm on here. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to put my little sweatshirt back on. And let's see if I've got my hook. Oh, I do have my hook. So for the Mini Puff, I'm using an 11. You can see the 11 millimeter hook. Okay. Oh, I can move this back down now. I forgot to eat breakfast this morning too, so I will definitely be excited to, once I hop off of here, go get, you can see all my projects back here. It's just so much stuff, so much stuff. Okay, let's see. Jody says not a bathrobe, too cute to be a bathrobe. Well, and I have talked about wanting to do a robe like that. So like a bathrobe with big deep pockets, a longer version with a tie, and it be in blanket yarn. So it really is like a cozy wear around the house robe. So that is on my list. And it'll probably be a lot like the Winky jacket, but longer. And I think it'll have like the ribbing that comes across the front and wraps around. That's been on my list for a while, and I just haven't made it happen. So that's in the plans. Let's see. Jody says super cute. Thank you guys. I'm glad you like it, because that was doing like the personal projects, you know, and not really planning, you know, it was really hard for me to not take it apart when I realized that the ribbing wasn't closing like I wanted it to, and giving myself permission to just add the rows of single crochet. And now I really like it. I think it added to the texture. But I think sometimes we strive for this like perfection of like, if it didn't turn out like we wanted, we have to just take it apart. But I think sometimes improvising allows us to be a little more creative. So that was kind of nice. Let's see. Ellen says it looked great with jeans. Yes, that's what I thought. Emma says bat shape, please. I don't know what that means. What is bat shape? Wendy, this is not your pattern, but I'm frogging a sweater that's 3/4 of the way finished. Sometimes you just don't feel it. Oh, well, lots of scarfy. Yes. Now, and I'm there. I have at least 3 projects right now that need to be frogged because I want to use the yarn for something else. I got like halfway through the project, maybe the fit just looked weird, you know, and I think if you know you're not going to wear it and there's really no way to save it, then you should just take it apart, because then you have yarn to put into another project. You can try something else. And what I really wanted to talk about today was inspiration, and that's some of it. You know, you want to feel inspired by what you're making. And if you're not, then you can move on to something else, you know. Love the lighter weight one, Sindra. I figured, and like I said, this is what I'm using right now. This is more of that velvety style Chanel, but it's a size 6, and I'm using an 11mm hook for this. And I'm about to start working on the sleeves. That's what I was going to work on today. Jody says Chanel. You pronounce it Chanel. I thought it was designer yarn. Yeah, do I not pronounce it right? I've been pronouncing it Chanel yarn. Do I say Chanel? I don't know. Chanel sounded right. Chanel yarn sounded right. Oh, bat-shaped stitch markers. Yes. So I want to do little ghosts. And I almost want to do like the rainbow ghosts that are the shape of like the Pac-Man ghosts. I thought that would be super fun to like do the colors and have it come in the colors of the Pac-Man ghosts. Saturated color. I am a rainbow girl. If you've seen my Instagram feed, I love bright, colorful yarn. And I feel like it can be difficult because a lot of the brighter yarns, the brighter colors can be a little more muted. And it really depends on the makers and the trends for that year. But I feel like the past couple of times I've gone to the store, it's been hard to find things that are like vibrantly bright. I got a bunch of chubby Chanel to make another Powerpuff jacket, and the yarn was it was bright colors, like it was a lot of colors, like purples and greens and pinks, but it was more of like pastel colors. So I think it's going to be my Easter Powerpuff, because it like reminds me of Easter colors instead of like vibrant colors. So, you know, I take what I can get. Happy crafting from Shatika Woods. Happy crafting to you. I always say happy hooking since I don't really knit anymore. Sindra, we do need to have a frogging party. I feel like one of my next my little yarn cake is struggling here. Because it's coming off the side. I need to fix that real quick, or that's going to cause me quite the headache. I feel like one of my Tuesday lives, I'm going to have to do some frogging for sure, because that's getting to that point where I have quite a few projects and I can like frog them into cakes now that I have the yarn winder. Now that I finally have a yarn winder, I can make cakes out of the projects instead of having to figure out, you know, sometimes I'll work on a new project directly off the old project. So as I'm frogging, I'll be creating something new, and that's always really nice, but you have to be ready to use that yarn. And I'm not always ready to use the yarn that I've got invested in some of those old projects that I'm going to take apart. Chris, you haven't almost missed it, Chris. I've got 30 more minutes. You are perfectly fine. Snow and idiot drivers. Yeah, I've never lived anywhere that has regular snow. So the farthest north I've lived isn't even really north of here, but Atlanta, Georgia, which is still very much in the south. I have seen very little snow. Now, my grandmother lives in Huntsville, Alabama, which is North Alabama, and I do remember seeing snow some of the Christmases that we went to see her there. And then I did visit Ohio once, and there was snow in Ohio when we went to visit. My dad's family grew up in Ohio. So, but that's the only, yeah, I've never had to shovel snow or drive in snow or anything like that. I don't envy you guys. I don't know how I don't like being outside in the cold in the south. So you can see all of this chunky stuff that I make living in not South Alabama, but the South in Alabama. We're like mid Alabama, you know. But I love being warm and cozy and not cold, especially not cold and wet. That's like the worst combination ever. Oh man, Chris, you drive a school bus. Yeah, don't envy you there. My father-in-law used to drive a school bus. And he really enjoyed it, you know, but again, he's not driving it in snow. But he loved getting to know the kids that were on his route. So that was pretty cool. From Montevallo, Alabama, if it's snow, the ground is too warm, it won't stick too long. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it stuck a little bit. We had a couple of months ago, maybe, that we had enough snow to kind of collect on our porch, but it didn't last that long. I actually went live on Instagram when it was snowing because that was pretty crazy to see here. So I went live and showed everybody the snow on our back porch and made hot cocoa that night because it just felt like I needed to make hot cocoa because it was snowing outside in Alabama. Okay, so we've got a little bit of chill in the comment section. So I want to ask you guys a question now so that I'll jump onto my topic for today, which is inspiration. Where do you guys get your inspiration for the designs you want to crochet? So if you look for patterns, where do you go to look for your patterns? Do you go to Pinterest? Do you just Google things? Do you go to Ravelry? Do you go to Etsy? And then if you wing it, if you design patterns, or if you like to just wing it and make your own stuff, where do you pull inspiration? Do you look at fashion? Do you look on Instagram at what other people are doing? Do you look at patterns and try to figure out how they're constructed and then create something unique that's your own? Do you buy patterns and then wing it once you figure out how they construct it? I would love to know how you guys get inspired to create your stuff and what are your go-to places when maybe, especially if you're feeling like a lack of crojo, maybe you're not feeling super creative and you really want something to kind of like reel you back in and get you inspired again. So for me, is it Ellen? So for me, at this point, I do my designs. And lately I have really, because my focus is on super chunky yarn and on wearables, so sweaters and cardigans, I've actually been pulling a lot of inspiration from other fashion websites or stores like clothing stores. And so I'll go online and I'll search for oversized jackets or chunky hoodies, like things that maybe aren't even crocheted or knit, because I want to look at the shape of the design. And that was actually, so the Tonks hoodie, my pattern for the crocheted hoodie pattern that I have, that's a super bulky pattern as well. That was the first pattern that I looked at a design of something in the fashion world that was not technically a crocheted or knit item, and I tried to create a crocheted version of it. So if you guys have ever seen the what are those hoodies called? I have it written in the pattern and now I can't remember what they're called. Let's see. Pull it up on here. Oh, the Baja hoodie. So B-A-J-A. So they're usually made out of that kind of like scratchy wool textured fabric. And I always associate it with like hippies and music festivals, the people that wear them. But I love the style and the fact that
It wasn't like a drape to fit. It was a very boxy style. It was something that I felt like I could easily try to recreate and structure as a crocheted piece. Um, and it came to life, and it was one of the coolest things to see. Okay, I can take inspiration not just from what other people are crocheting, but I can take inspiration from fashion and clothing and items that I really like. And I see that in my cardigan designs, because again, when I buy cardigans from like the store, I want ones that wrap around me and feel very cozy. And so almost all of my patterns are that way. I want them long enough to be able to like wrap them around or have pockets or something functional to where, you know, I want my items to be something that I want to wear out of the house, that I want to be comfortable in, that I can wear all day, and I don't feel like I'm having to mess with them or adjust them throughout the day. Like they just kind of, they're easy to wear would be, I guess, the best way to put it. But lately I've really been trying to draw more inspiration from designs that I find from, you know, designers and fashion and clothing and things like that. That's been really fun. And I usually just bookmark them on my phone, so I'll take a screenshot, you know. And the other thing that I'm trying to do more this year is get inspiration from the yarn. So I used to really try to only buy yarn when it was on sale, if I could find it in bulk. You know, I almost always worked with Woolly's Thick and Quick by Lion Brand yarn, which is still a go-to for me because it's easy to find and it's easy to work with, and easy to care for. But I really wanted to make 2022 the year that I try different yarns, like this Chanel yarn. This year is really my first time working with any kind of Chanel style yarn, and I'm using it now for 2 different patterns. This is my first time really using blanket yarn for wearables. A lot of my testers have used it in the past, but it's so light. It's perfect for wearables because your sweaters are super chunky, but they're not 16 pounds of yarn. They're actually fairly lightweight. So allowing myself to be inspired by yarn and what that yarn could create. And that's really where the Power Puff jacket came from, because it was a combination of saying, okay, there's this jumbo yarn out there that people really only connect with blankets or pet beds or, you know, baskets. You know, it's really like a home decor yarn. But I wanted to turn it into a wearable, and a functional wearable, not something that looks way too big or ill-fitting. You know, so I had to go to the fashion world and say, I want to look at puffer vests and the big, huge, puffy jackets and try to figure out a shape that would look good, you know, and use this yarn, this back here, that most people wouldn't think to ever use for a wearable because there aren't patterns out there for it. So I was like, this is my wheelhouse. This is what I love. So I love a challenge. And so it was really fun. And then I also love pulling inspiration from you guys. So when I create a pattern, so like I created the puffer jacket, and I had a lot of people who said, the Power Puff jacket, who said, I really would love to see this in a lighter weight yarn. Now for me, a lighter weight yarn is probably never going to be lighter than a 5. And if it's a 5, I'm probably going to double it. But since that was a 7, I was like, that's doable, because a lighter weight yarn than a 7 would be a 6. And so here we are. I was inspired by that request, you know, because I had at least 2 or 3 people who love the body shape and the body style of the Power Puff jacket, but wanted it a little bit lighter weight. And that's fine. I think that's fantastic. It gave me a challenge, another challenge to try to figure out how I could alter the design, but not lose that feel of that jacket, you know. Okay, what's everybody saying? Dawn says, I don't design, but when I want to crochet something, I go to YouTube and look around and wait till I see something that catches my eye. That is how I feel about Instagram and Etsy. So I love going on Etsy, and specifically, I tend to look at
chunky knitwear. So I feel like the knitting world has always had that super chunky, super bulky, you know, cardigans and sweaters made using that roving yarn. And I pull a lot of inspiration from the shape and texture of super chunky knitwear and figuring out how I can turn those items into something that is crocheted. And I do the same thing. I love to just kind of meander around on Instagram and use different hashtags looking for chunky knits. I'll use hashtags like super chunky yarn, jumbo yarn, super chunky sweater, chunky knit sweater, like all these different hashtag combinations to see what people are tagging. And then if you have never used the bookmark feature on Instagram, it's just like having a Pinterest board on your Instagram feed. So you can create different boards on Instagram and save items underneath them. So I have a color inspiration board. So when I see someone, it may not even be crocheted, they may just have a crazy cool outfit on that's super colorful. And I'll save it because I like the color combinations and I can use that later if I'm, feeling a little creatively blocked on how to choose the colors for my next project. I can go back to that board on Instagram, go back to that little section in my bookmarks, and pull inspiration from that. So that's big for me. Sindra says, I get some ideas from Pinterest, YouTube, and I try to make the pattern my own if I can. And I feel like a lot of people do that. I know I always used to do that because I just hadn't had a lot of good experiences following patterns. And that was also before I knew how to vet designers. So now I can go through and see, I'll check their reviews. I will check their Instagram page. I'll look to see if other people have made their items. And I talked about this on the last live. And I put out a blog post just about how to make sure that the designs you're buying aren't going to end up being a headache. And there's a lot of different ways that you can go through and kind of vet the designer and, make sure that you're going to have a good experience following the patterns. But I think that that's what led me to designing and trying to just make it myself and wing it. Because I wasn't having the greatest experience with following the patterns. So, really kind of figuring out how to master the basics of construction and creating shapes using crochet was a big part of the inspiration side and the design side. Emma says, I get my inspiration from everywhere. My pets, games, TV, my kids, nature, YouTube creators, etc. And I think that's how it should be. I think if we're moving through the world with this openness of allowing things to inspire us, then it's very difficult to get to a point where you feel creatively burned out or out of ideas. So if you have the ability to pull inspiration from all these different places, then it's going to be much more difficult for you to feel like you've run out of ideas. So that's fantastic. Let's see, Chris says, I go in and throw everything on the floor and reorganize my studio. That's pretty smart. I think not just because reorganizing allows you to go through and look at each yarn and pick it up and, see if it kind of speaks to you about a design, but it also reminds you of some yarn that may be hiding in the corners that you forgot you had, and that may be exactly what you're looking for in that moment. Shatika says, creative people on YouTube that are so talented and creative, even the channels that speak Spanish but go along with, yes. So that's fantastic. And I think that's one of the beautiful things to me about the crafting world is that it is one of those spaces that is beyond language. It's its own language in itself because you can watch them do it. So you don't even have to speak their language and they could teach you something. So that's a really cool aspect. I didn't even think about that. That's really smart. There is a maker on Instagram, Marie, what is her last name? Let's pull her up.
Marie Castro DIY. So she does speak English, but she also speaks, I believe, Portuguese. Is that correct? But she does speak another language, and a lot of her Instagram posts are in another language, and I have a feeling she has videos that are, but she inspires me so much because her colors are so bold. So I've always been so inspired by her color work and her mixing of colors. She uses a lot of bright colors, rainbow colors. Her design aesthetic is very different from mine, and the fact that she uses lighter weight yarns, which is usually the big difference between me and other designers that I follow, is I use almost exclusively super bulky and jumbo type yarns, and a lot of people will run all the way from like a size 2 to a size 4, and that's about the range. Some of them move into like the 5 and 6 for like 1 or 2 patterns in their entirety of their collections. But it doesn't mean that I can't be inspired by what they do or try to create items in that kind of super bulky realm that are inspired by the shapes that they've created with their patterns. So that's been really fun to be inspired by other makers. Oh, I lost my chat. There we go. Let's see. Brittany says, I've bought a lot of patterns over time, but when I find a new stitch that I love, I use that stitch as an inspiration. That is how I started. Once you get really comfortable with a stitch, and for me, that's half double crochet. And it's not just about the look of the stitch, it's the ease of the stitch. For me, this sleeve is half double crochet. And it's just an easy flow for me. Like I can usually do it without having to constantly look at my work, which is really nice. The flow is easy on my wrist. I feel like I can do it very quickly. And so the enjoyableness of the stitch and feeling like I, have a bit of a mastery of it, I can make it do different things. And, I think there's a lot of different things you can do with half double crochet because of the 3 working loops that it creates. But it has inspired a lot of my designs. As long as you know how to use half double crochet, you're most likely going to be able to follow almost all of my patterns because so many of my patterns use that as the main stitch. And luckily nobody's gotten tired of it, and I haven't gotten tired of it, so I think it works out pretty well. Emma says, I wing it to create what I envision. And that's a big deal, being able to go from, something, especially if you're being inspired by like nature and you create like a garment. I mean, it's a big deal. So I think it's really special. And for me, the colors, I think is really nice to also look into like nature and other ways of being inspired, because you can see those color combinations. Like I might see someone who did something really crazy with like wallpaper in their house, and that may turn into inspiration for a color combination for a cardigan or a sweater. So that's pretty cool. Delphine's Handcrafted says, hello, lurking and working. First time I made it to your live. Well, welcome, and I hope you're enjoying it. I've been trying to find at least like a soft focus for these, and today I'm trying to focus on inspiration and where your inspiration comes from. So I'm glad you got to make it. Wendy says, Anthropologie is my favorite store, and I like them because they aren't really following a trend. I agree, Wendy. I love Anthropologie. Can't usually afford it. It's quite expensive. If you guys have never heard of it, but I have 2 dresses that I found at Anthropologie. They were on the clearance rack. They're the exact same dress in 2 different colors because they were just so cool. Like it was very different. It's a casual, it's a cotton dress. But the neckline is so interesting. It's got like the empire waist, a flowy skirt. I could dress them up, I could dress them down. But I feel the same way. Anthropologie is a great place to go to look for unique shapes. Looking at, I love having like bold items to pair with what I'm wearing. I like to look at past fashion trends. So even ones that are coming back, like Free People is another brand that I love because their shapes and their designs are so interesting. Again, I don't think I own a single thing by Free People because they're quite expensive. But I think looking at different designers and just seeing what they're creating, and sometimes I really want a pair of those really wide leg jeans that used to be big when I was in high school and would like go hang out at the mall, 90s, early 90s, and well, probably not even early 90s for me. I am still pretty young, but I want a pair of those to like pair with some of my crazy sweaters because in some areas that is kind of coming back, I've seen them offered by a lot of different designers. And so I think that'd be really cool to create outfits around some of these statement pieces. And I think that'd be really fun. Like I love, for instance, Lucy and Yak. If you guys have never heard of those, they make the crazy coveralls and different kind of pants and things. And I have some really crazy dungaree overalls by them. And I love how bright and crazy they are and getting to create outfits around them and just be completely unique and different. And I think that can, a piece from my wardrobe can then help me create something to go along with it. Shatika says patterns on the labels of skeins are hung near the yarn at Walmart. That's another place you can look too. I mean, I often look at free patterns to learn techniques to bring into my own work. So I have downloaded quite a few free cardigan patterns because I want to see how they construct the cardigans, because I feel like a lot of my cardigans are constructed in a very similar way. And I would love to have some different construction techniques included in my work. Let's see. I love the corner to corner patterns. So I have still never made a corner to corner, and I don't think I've ever done cables in crochet. Sindra says, I love it. I've gotten inspiration from you on something I'm working on. Ooh, I can't wait to see. You'll have to send me some pictures. Wendy says, FYI, at Anthropologie, if you give a donation to one of their causes, you can buy their storefront displays once they have retired that display. Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't know that. That's a good thing to know. Shatika, I'm working on my lighter weight Power Puff jacket. So it's 3 different colors. I've got my kind of brownish orange color, and then I've got this blue. It's got blues and pinks and yellows. And then I've got the more like rainbow. This is the sleeve. So that's what I'm working on. But it's like a jacket style cardigan. Inspired by granny square sweaters. Yes. So I need to, at some point, it's on my list. I don't know how long it's going to be in the future, but I want to do a chunky granny square cardigan. Because I feel like it's 100% fits what I'm working on, and I could make it super simple. So it's on my list. But I don't like seaming, so that's always been like that's going to take a lot of work. So I tend to do a lot of things as one big piece, so there's a lot less seaming and a lot less weaving in of the ends to have to do. So yeah, that's why I don't have one right now. And love 1 to 2 pattern repeat. So most of my garments are created in a way that you don't have to pay a lot of attention to stitch counts and rows and things like that. Obviously, you still have to count your rows, but I try to create them simply enough to where you can follow them while you're like listening to something else or watching TV or something. I want them to be more of a stress-free, meditative type experience where you don't have to be like on edge, worried about if you missed a stitch count 50 stitches ago. And I think that helps working with like the bulkier yarn, because you're not going to have to chain 150 for, I don't think, anything that I've ever made. So that's helpful. Let's see. Wendy says, I only shop their, I only shop to their 30% sale at Christmas. That's really smart. And I think signing up, if you really love places, you can always sign up for emails and then you can figure out when things are on sale. I also love, 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 love eBay. A lot of my stuff comes from eBay because I like brands that are expensive for the right reasons. So if they're well made, so like these boots, my sorrel boots, I have 4 pair of these, but I've never paid full price for them because I get them used on eBay and I just find ones that are still in really, really good shape and I clean them up when I get them. But they're made so well, so I know they're going to last a really long time. But as long as you know your size, you know your measurements, eBay can be your best friend to save some money. Ellen says, I like to type in a specific stitch to Google search, and then that's really smart. So I do the same thing with yarn. So I'll look at different types of yarn and I'll use the hashtags for different types of yarn on Instagram, and that can be really cool to see what people are making. Wendy says, I'm dating myself, but palazzo pants, wide leg were so popular in the 70s. Yeah, and that's what I mean. So looking at these fashion trends, and then even if you don't remake something, so like I probably wouldn't crochet a pair of wide leg jeans, but I could create something that would be a match for them as an outfit. And I think that's what's really fun, is getting inspired by a trend and trying to create something that would go with the trend as a separate piece. That's been really fun for me. Terry says, I'm late, but finally here. Welcome, Terry. Lydia, what is everyone working on today? Is coming along so beautiful. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'll try it on before I sign off. Ellen says a chunky granny hexy cardigan would be fun. Wendy says, I went to eBay and bought Toms for my daughter. Thanks for the tip. Yes, eBay is fantastic. And you can look at the sellers' ratings, just like on Etsy. The sellers have reviews, so you can make sure, you want to look for a seller that has good reviews, that sends their stuff out on time, that sells what they say they're selling, that ships things quickly. And Chris says, I know, he loves sitting back by that window. Yeah. And I'm going to have to make him get down because he just gets hair all over the tablecloth. Oh my gosh, a pineapple stitch tablecloth. Definitely a challenge for a large table. Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, let me show you where I'm at with this one. I am almost out of yarn. I have a whole nother thing of this for the sleeve, but I think I'm going to have to do the cuff. So like, just so you guys, in case you haven't seen it, I'm going to show you my power puff. All right, so this is what the power puff looks like. Let me move this over so you guys can see. I'm going to lift this up since I probably won't sit back down before I sign off today, but this is what the power puff looks like. So it's a pretty, it's not cropped, but like my jean, it hits right below where my jeans hit. And I wanted it to be comfortable for my hands to be right here in the pockets. It has the not oversized sleeve, but it's like almost balloon sleeve with the cuff at the end, like the Luna sweater. So if you guys made the Luna, very similar, but single crochet stitches. I have the front border, and then you can see the collar back here. So created the collar, and they're hoodie pockets. So I attached here, down, and across after I added the borders. So the lighter weight version is what I'm working on right now. Seems to be coming together pretty well. Great. Okay, so you can see, same thing, collar, large sleeve. I'm not going to taper this at all. It's going to come down and have a cuff here. And I will be adding the pockets at the very end. So I'll have those pockets on the front. But same kind of style, that's what I was looking for. It's interesting on this one, I did, I think, 5 rows of single crochet where you go from
the bottom to the tip of this and back down. And then the same thing on this side. And then the final row, you actually work all the way around the border and back down this side. So I think I had to do 5 here, 5 here, and on the 6th row, I came all the way around and it added a 6th row around the whole thing. So that was pretty cool. And then I did 2 rows of single crochet along the border. So yeah, we're getting there. And I'll keep you guys posted on this one. Obviously, this one will be a full-on design. So I'll have pictures throughout the pattern of the progress. I'm hoping I have enough yarn. Like, this is all I have left, but I have a whole nother cake of this yarn. So I'm probably going to start the other sleeve first, and that will tell me how, when I need to switch to the other type of yarn. And I'll show you guys. That one is, oh, of course I don't have the thing on there, but this is the yarn. This is Bernat Velvet something. It's like a velvety Chanel. So that one is what I'm using for the front, the pockets, and the cuffs on here when I do the cuffs. So, all right, guys, it is past time. So I will see you guys on Friday. And I don't think, let me double check. I don't think it's an interview on Friday. No, so it'll just be a regular Friday live on my Instagram channel. So if you guys follow me there, you can join me on Friday at 12 p.m. Central Time on Instagram. And if you don't have Instagram, I always post it here to YouTube. So if you want to catch up with what I chat about on Friday, you can always watch the replay here on YouTube once I upload it. Oh, let's see. Terry number 2 arrived late too, been crocheting away on a vest and sport weight yarn. And Terry Browning says, Evelyn, just want to tell you how much I enjoyed the interview with SJ the other day. Yes, so I'm going to have a lot more interviews coming up. I'm trying to do an interview at least once a month with other designers and other makers. They will get posted here to YouTube, but it's a little bit easier for me to go live with them on Instagram. So I'll probably do most of my live streams with other makers on Instagram, and then I will repost them here to YouTube so you guys can check them out, along with links, if you want to support them. I'll have those there, but I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoy getting to do the chat sessions, and that's why I want to try to do more of those. Cinder says, I just put a box on the table. The cat will get in the box instead of on the table. Saves the hair on the table. That's really smart. And Wendy says, if you get a chance to check out the Surge Dream Coat by Picorni, I'm sure you can put your spin on it. I'll check that out. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the interview. Yes. All right, guys, I will see you on Friday. If I don't see you live on Friday, I will see you back again next Tuesday here on YouTube, same time. And again, if I don't schedule one, please know I usually things just come up and I'll forget to schedule it, but I will be here. If for any reason I have to cancel my video, I'll put it in my community tab as a post that I have to cancel it. So you guys will have a heads up. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, guys.